Thank you, Rachel, for being on with us today. Wisdom Wednesday. This is like my favorite day of the week. We get to always bring you really good content, and I like it to be different. Though the message of the company is the same and our steps are the same, I like the content to be unique to you, unique to the time we're in. And Rachel and I were chatting a little bit earlier, and we're in a very unique time right now. We're going to talk about that a little bit and just how we can really like level up. And we're getting ready to start this distributor recruiting boot camp in August, which I'm pumped about. And so we want to finish the month strong so that our contacts are strong, that our enrollments are strong, and so that our team can participate in boot camp for August. So think about all your new people that you're going to be enrolling this week with this discount are going to be able to participate in boot camp in August and be able to benefit from that as well. So we want to finish July stronger than ever so that our team gets to benefit from all that goodness. So Rachel, thanks for being on. What I would love to do is just start with a brief synopsis of your story for those that don't know it yet or might be watching the recording that are like, dang, wow, and can relate to that or share that with the potential. So, hey, Rachel.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I'm so pumped. I told Kaye, I said, wow, I really like that you do them in the middle of the day because like I'm over these night Zooms. Lately, everyone wants them at 9 Central. And I'm like, I don't know how to have a good routine the next morning when we're up all night. So I love this. I've never done a team Zoom at this time and I'm super here for it. So just a little bit about me and my backstory. I'm about to celebrate 6 years in September, which is wild, you guys, because I don't know if anyone's like me, but I have the mindset. I'm just a giver upper. When times are tough, I don't know who taught me this, if it was my mom or my dad, but I give up when things are hard. So the fact that I've made it this long and I'm not going anywhere, I need a reward for that. But anyways, I have the typical story that I think a lot of people have in the sense of I wasn't searching for It Works, it found me. And the reason I wasn't searching was because when I graduated high school, someone on Facebook actually asked me to join their team with their company. I joined another company, literally like a 2-month gig, and I was bad at it. I didn't have the mindset. I was 19 years old. And so I thought that I just wasn't a salesperson. I never thought I'd do this. So I did things out of order. I got pregnant when I was 20 in college, graduated, food stamps, all of the typical things of a young mom that does things out of order. And so It Works found me. One person and one person only was on my Facebook talking about wrap. And that's all I saw was the product base. And honestly, I thought that there was only one product. That's how much she only talked about the wrap. And I was just this young, insecure mom. And so I bought one wrap with my birthday money. And then she tried getting me to become a customer. And $59 to me at that point in my life, I was like, there is absolutely no way I could ever afford this. And that's when she asked me to join her team. And the funny thing is I said that I couldn't afford $59 in the same day. I found $100 on a credit card because she just told me enough. So I think that that's the most important part about my story is I wouldn't have joined unless someone asked me to. And so when she said, you should just join my team and make money while you're using the products, I was like, that's a thing? Like I didn't have a brain cell for it because I had sucked at doing that before. When in reality, it was just 2 different companies, 2 different times of life. And so I was 22 years old and I went diamond in 3 months. And that's really what catapulted my whole business was having that comma in the paycheck. We all talk about it. And I used to think that it was just something people talked about to like try to get people to work, but it's literal. Like the comma just changed everything for my whole life, my family's life. And then we went double a couple months later. After we went double, my husband and I both quit our jobs. I absolutely don't recommend it, but we did it. It was the price we were willing to pay for it, and the rest is history. So we just went ambassador last year, and now we're just rebuilding all over again on our 2.0. And that has been the most humbling, weirdest journey ever. It was hard in the beginning. I'm just like, I don't know if I have what it takes to do it again. I don't know how to do it again, to find people to trust me. It was just really kind of like, it was a learning process. So here we are, we're triple 2.0. We were super close to Prez a couple months ago, but now I just went live on our VIP page, and I just was talking about like, God, I'm in a season right now where God is teaching me a lot. And I almost feel, and I'll get into like, I really want to hear the questions Kaye has because she gave me a little bit of a sneak peek, and I was like, whoa, I'm actually glad that that's what we want to talk about because I feel like God is teaching me something right now. And I kind of feel like he had to quiet my business down a little so that I would hear because I wasn't listening. So anyways, that's just where I'm at. I'm just ready to do it all over again. And I'm just loving life, celebrating 6 years.
Oh, that's so great. Yeah. We've been through so many seasons. When you think about where we've come from, I've got 11 years in the business. You've been here for 6 years, Rachel. When you think about just, we're used to a typical pattern, sort of, if you will, like a kind of a pattern, because you come out of the new year with this solid, like core energy and you go through May and summer kind of hits and people kind of, have their summer. And we're used to this kind of pattern where we're gearing up for the fall again and back to school. And this year was different. This year we had a pandemic. We had this virus thing that kind of swept through the nation and the world. And we didn't know how to respond to it. We've never experienced anything like that before.
Mm-hmm.
And though we had never experienced anything like that before, I think a lot of us saw value in it and we got to work and we hunkered down. And this summer, we're in this unique position where we've had a lot of massive success this year. We've had a lot of new promotions, a lot of double ambassador promotions in our company overall, a lot of new leaders on our team. I mean, it's been a really, I think for business, considering what's happened, a good year. But then something kind of like manifested this summer recently where a lot of moms, a lot of us are, and even maybe have children who have kids that are, your grandparents, and you see this in your family, are wondering what to do about school. And there's kind of like a question mark, kind of like a fog or a big haze over how is it going to look in the fall? What is my fall going to look like? And a lot of people for the first time are starting to think about homeschool or are now adapting to homeschool. And it's a different reality, or virtual school. And so I see so much value in that because Rachel, as you've experienced this before, this is like prime time for recruitment because most women are going to have to be home with their kids looking for work for the first time ever. And we've got an opportunity for them. I think about why my mom joined. I was 6 years old when she joined the industry, wanting to be home with me and my brother. And so I wanted to start this Zoom off kind of talking about this season a little bit and how we can appreciate it more, talk about recruitment, but also planting seeds. I feel like more than ever, we're in a seed planting season right now. And so when we were talking in, Messenger, you're like, yeah, I'm so glad we're talking about this. So what are your thoughts on all this since our conversation?
Yeah, this is perfect. And this just literally gives me chills, you guys, because honestly, if Kaye would have asked me like a week or two ago to do this, I probably would have declined and postponed it because my headspace, I don't want to say it wasn't good, but it was confused and a little paralyzed because like Kaye said, I completely agree 150 bajillion%. This year has been weird in the sense of what we can't control with the world, but business wise, it's been great because people are home. And so I do remember in the beginning of all this, we were all like, how do we do this? We're all stuck home and we don't know what to do. And we had to redo a schedule, figure out what works. And then we figured it out. I don't know about you guys, but we figured it out fast. And then we made a lot of money. And honestly, it was very beneficial that my whole team was home. Some people didn't do good home. My team did very good home. But the issue in that was that July came, and then I feel like no one even warned me. And now I'm being dramatic probably, but what it felt like was my whole team went back to work without warning. And then it was almost like, I think back to when everything happened in the beginning of the summer where we were forced to be home and forced to be quarantined, and everyone was panicked a little bit in the beginning. We addressed that right away and we tackled it. We didn't mope around and figure it out. We were like, okay, this is weird. We can't control it. Let's be home. So then you would think I would be able to do the same thing come July when people went back to work, but for some reason it was hard. And it's almost like my people were fresh new leaders and runners that they only knew what it was like to be home. So they thought they had to kind of stop working to be back at work. Just lots of weird life lessons. And I didn't really know how to help them. I was addressing what needed to be addressed. I was still showing up. I was doing all of things, but these were changes that I didn't really know how to do. I was just weird. And so with that being said, I had a lot of people kind of step back and they were like, it works just isn't my number one priority. It's number 2 or number 3. And I had to be okay with that. And I had to just know that it was hard. July was hard for me because immediately I was mad. I was like, we were so close to tackling Prez 2.0, all these things. And then you have all these goals and you can't control when people step back or when some people were affected by other things that were going on in the world. And I was being selfish in the sense of it wasn't affecting me in the beginning. I was ignorant and naive. I didn't want to know. I didn't know. I was under a rock and I was like, I just don't want to know what I don't want to know. It works is all. I just don't want to know what's going on in the world. I'm too emotionally unstable. But other people didn't know what was going on. And I couldn't be selfish in thinking that because I didn't want to know and I didn't want to learn and I was going to live under a rock, that everybody else had to still keep It Works number one and all their goals number one. So anyways, lots of life lessons this month. But, and it took me like 3 weeks, the first half of July, to figure it out. My enrollments were down. I was just frustrated with a lot of things. I still showed up, but I was frustrated at everybody that had re-evaluated their goals and they weren't aligned with mine anymore. And again, it's this like point where you kind of have to just go from being selfish to selfless. And it was hard for me to do that because I didn't understand, like, we can still tackle what's going on in the world and still work really hard. That's what I feel, but that's just not how everyone works. So we had to have this shift, exactly like you said, Kay, where in the beginning of the first half of the year, yes, you might be getting host posts up and you might be doing all these things and get very fast. You might see it all like come to be right away. You might get a host post up and sign 5 customers on the spot. Everything's fast paced. But then I do believe, and I know that there are certain words that are touchy, the seasons, the slowdown, all the things, you don't want to say them and speak them over, but I knew that there were going to be adjustments this month. And part of the adjustment that my team had to figure out was working with the sense of this work is for 2021. If you shift your mind and not thinking that your work now is the same as the work in January. Like it might be the same work, but you might not get the same results. They might be a little bit longer out, right? So it's the seeds you're planting. And I think the issue we had is we were expecting these results to be immediate, like they had been the first 6 months. Like business was, if I'm being honest, it felt easy before everything happened. And it's just not like that anymore. Right now, we're building these relationships. We're still working the same, but we're expecting it to pay off in the beginning of the year. And the reason why we started having this mindset was because if the seeds sprout sooner, which they are, obviously not everybody we talk to is waiting until 2021, but if they sprout sooner, if you do message someone the same day they sign up, that's all a bonus and we're celebrating that again. We were getting so caught up in how easy it was that we weren't even celebrating those little wins. Just as simple as a hair, skin, and nail customer. You get so caught up in how fast everything comes that you get a little greedy and you get a little complacent, and then you freak out when things start to slow down. So I kind of just had to retrain my team in the sense of things might slow down a little because we're all adjusting all over again. But the best thing about It Works, I've just been so loud about this with my team. The best thing is, like, you don't have to stop. Like, this has been probably the worst month enrollment wise of 2020, but internally and self-development wise, I feel like I'm wise, I'm learning, I've done a lot. But with that being said, my numbers aren't where they need to be, but that doesn't mean Mark's calling me in his office and like, you're fired, your hours are cut. Like, I just love that we really do get to do as much or as little and you're not penalized. You're penalized in the sense of your check sometimes, but I can handle that if I have to learn a life lesson, right? So anyway, sorry, that was really long-winded, but we just had to address it. And honestly, it did take about 3 weeks to figure out because I just didn't know it wasn't affecting me like it was affecting my team. And so I think that led to me being selfish. So I just retrained them. I pulled them closer more than ever. And honestly, I had to kind of part ways with the people that this wasn't their number one, in the sense of just open the door and telling them, I love you. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. So whenever you want to come back, but I'm exhausted trying to get you to make this number one again. If you want it as a part-time gig, totally fine. But there are still people on my team that want to do this with me and they still have hardcore goals they want to do. And I think I was taking away from them because I was trying to get my runners to keep on running when they were reevaluating their life, if that makes sense. So I think the biggest thing is just our mindsets are that the work we're doing now, we might not see it pay off right away. And that's okay. That's okay. But if it does pay off right away, that's just an additional bonus. And just knowing that we can't give up. That's the last thing we do because it catapults us in. So if we give up on the rest of the year because we think we're doomed, we think that homeschooling is going to be hard, we think all of these things, then you're way behind come January when things are back to complete normal again. So that's just my thing. My kids are going back to school right now. So I don't quite understand because I didn't make the decision to homeschool, but I've just got to try my best to keep the doors open in the sense of like my leaders know that I love them, that I will try so hard to understand and be there for them. But I just want them to know that at the end of the day, no matter how hard life is, It Works is always here. And so maybe you have to step back for a second and figure it out, but you can always come back. You don't have to completely quit or stop. I don't know if that made sense, but that's kind of how we're tackling it.
Oh, yes, it does. And y'all, it became so evident when Mom and I were talking the other day. And she was first introduced to the industry, and Rachel, you probably will remember this story too, in July. It was July when she was first introduced to the industry. She had never heard about it before, but she was looking for a way to stay home with my brother and I. Obviously not homeschooling, but looking for a way to be on the, like, there when we got off the bus, snacks, homework, sports, all the things, dinner, all the things. And she joined that company in September. She waited till school went back. She thought, okay, I can do this, joined, and then the rest is history. She ended up making her enroller, just her spot alone, like 10 grand a month, just her spot alone. And so when you think about that, now then, of course, It Works came into her life and she started this company. So you were like literally 1 second away from talking to someone, showing them the opportunity, and it could be a Pam Souter that you sponsor. Think about it. That's just, to me, that's what I just keep remembering, is that there is another version of her and you and all of us out there, like, ready. And so we need to be in remembrance of that. And usually, Rachel, I feel like we have these seed planting conversations a lot of times in the winter. So our whole year's kind of been flipped upside down, where usually we're like, okay, it's Christmas time. We're going to think about the holidays. We're going to start seed planting, and boom, the sprout happens. I feel like we're going to have another wave of that in the fall, when, moms and dads too, of course, are home, and they're like, all right, we got the schedule down. The kids are in school from this hour to this hour. And then I need a break. Like, I need a mom mental break where I'm not with my kids. Now they're playing games, or they're outside playing or whatever. And I need something for me. And we're going to see that happen. And so my advice to all of you is, don't wait for that opportunity. Do it now, so that when that person is ready to join, they're like, hey, Rachel, hey, Laura, hey, Taryn, hey, Christine, hey, Edith, I'm ready. You messaged me in July, and I've been watching you since then, and you've been following up, and I'm so grateful, and I am so ready for change, because, like, I can't look at my kids anymore. And it's like that's going to happen because we love our children, but we need our thing. At the end of the day, we need our thing, and we're going to have more people than ever home because they're not able to go back to work because they have to homeschool. And that's the reality. They're at home doing virtual school with their kids and whatnot. So had to add that. Thank you so much. Okay. So without further ado, can I ask you some questions?
Yes. And
real quick though, would you like to say anything?
Sorry, real quick. I just want to say this too, guys. What was reassuring to me, and again, I share this on the VIP. I know not everybody's on triple and above on here, obviously, but I just shared this and it was fresh on my heart, because I think that, like, and you don't even have to be a triple and above to love this business and to be like a hardcore hustler. And for me, I'm so addicted to this that it can sometimes be like, it's not a pro, it's a con, because it's number one, right? It's the end all be all, to where some other parts of my life crumble. And so honestly, in the beginning of July, I was so frustrated because things were moving at a slower pace, like enrollment wise, but it's been so reassuring for me because my numbers are lower. I have like picked it up this past week and stuff after traveling and whatnot, but my numbers are lower. But like I said, I'm learning so much, and I'm honestly feeling like relieved and calm at the sense that things have slowed down, in the sense of we're all trying to figure it out, because in the beginning of the year, oftentimes we don't have time to slow down. And well, my head, I know I'm bad at this, but like my head space, I'm like, I don't have time to exercise. I don't have time to Bible study. I always like act like the beginning of the year is frazzle. We're running. But now I feel like it has, like, there's been this, like, I don't know, like there's just been this clarity in the sense of things are moving at a slower pace business wise, but I'm still being consistent and doing everything on the way I'm supposed to. But I'm taking care of myself, my marriage, my parenting, everything feels like it's thriving. So I'm okay with my business being a little slower because I've been craving this all year, but I haven't had time to like breathe, if that makes sense. So I just feel like sometimes we get caught up in feeling like, well, my numbers are down. Oh my gosh, is it work slowing down? No, maybe this is your opportunity to focus on some other things while you're still building your business. So I'm just pumped for August because I feel like July was a little wanky, honestly, just janky, wanky, all the things. Just, I had to learn a lot. So I'm excited. So if you are relating to that part of me talking in the sense of like, well, July hasn't been my best, maybe there's a lesson for you to learn too, to set you up for the rest of the year. So I'm just switching my focus, and I just wanted to throw that in there. It's not necessarily like a wash. It's not a failed month for me, just because I think I've signed like 11 customers and 2 DTs, which isn't horrible. but I'm usually a mass enroller for that stuff. And that's what I've been doing all year. But then I got whooped and exhausted. And I had this hard conversation with my friend, Erin Tweed, because I was like, I'm feeling like almost guilty. Like I need to put more into my marriage and more into my parenting, but I don't want to like stop doing it works. And I don't want to slow down. And she was like, give yourself some grace. You have signed 100 customers every month. You're doing all these things. You can't maintain that and everything that goes into that every single month of the year. And I'm like, you're right. It's almost like I needed permission
Mm.
to calm it down. I'm not stopping. I'm not sitting on the bench, but I was sprinting and I just need to jog and figure some stuff out right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's so important. You know, I remember at a time where we had like really, really low discounted kits. It was like $10 to join or $20 or something. And it was kind of crazy.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I didn't love that because I felt like it brought in a lot of people who weren't serious. And I think in the situation that we have, what happened in the spring is we had a lot of people join because they were also scared.
Yeah.
Didn't know if they were going to be able to go back to work. And there were some that just aren't going to stay. There's some that just like, hey, it's just not for me, or I went back to work and I kind of like it. You're going to have that. That's just like normal. Okay. So who's in your business now and who's active and who's showing up, they're ready to show up. And like Rachel said, let this month for them maybe go by a little bit and they're going to come back with fire and it's fine. But you have to keep showing up. And that's what I keep reminding myself. And that's exactly what Rachel is saying. Rachel kept showing up. Rachel said, you know what, I may have only enrolled 2 DTs already this month, but I'm still showing up and I'm still doing the work that it would take to enroll 10, because that's the process. And that's what we want to talk to you all about. You might not have the person saying, I'm in, sign me up today, I'm ready, send me your link. But what happens because you were consistent and you kept showing up that a week from now they don't change their mind or don't say, okay, I'm ready? Because they will always join, just like it happened for Rachel and just like it happened for me when life experience happens and they're ready for the change. It's like, I'll never forget Laura Balder, who's on. She's like, I joined to put my name on something. I joined because I believed in the mission. The products looked good, but I was ready to put my own name on something. And so we're going to see a lot of that this year. Okay, so I have a question for you in regards to this. This was, hope Christine, it's okay that I asked this live on the Zoom. I want to say, okay, so I got a question. I love this question. Okay. I'm wondering if I could be saying something differently. I get people interested and then something goes sideways. Is this normal in the beginning? I really thought with the $49 price, it would turn the interested people into a yes, but now it's like they're ghosting. I think I'm being true to myself and excited, but I'm just wondering if this is normal at my stage in the business. So when you've got some people like that, Rachel, that are just like, not now, I'm not sure. What would you say to kind of like turn her head, or is it just new prospects? What are some of those day-to-day things that we can talk about here that are necessary to grow our audience? And then we'll answer that question as well.
Yeah, that's a really good question, like a really vulnerable question. I honestly think that it's probably a mixture of everything. And the thing is I kind of feel that too. And so I hope that that reassures you in the sense of like, I don't think it always necessarily means we're doing something wrong. I will say that I do feel like there are times in the business, and sometimes I feel like it's more clear when things adjust or slow down a little bit. And I had this kind of epiphany in the beginning of the month. In the beginning of the month, I only did DT host posts because that's what everyone was talking about doing. Didn't really work well for me, only because I didn't do the homework in the sense of like getting new people on my network. So it was all like the recycled host posters, the people that I probably don't even really want on my team, that I was just having the easy people post for me. And then what had happened was I was getting like a steady flow of people texting me about the business, but the missing piece I had was that I needed to switch up my wording again. So the last time I really had a big blow up was when I never had a TikTok video go viral, but I was being consistent on TikTok when everybody was talking about it. And I was taught to do the influencer application. And then I had the scripts for the second part, and it was working great for TikTok prospects. I brought that into DT host post prospects, and there was a major disconnect. So I had people texting me info, freedom, whatever the code word was. And then I would automatically send them to my influencer application because that's what I was used to doing. And then it was like, I had 20 people like text me throughout the week, and I sent them to my influencer application, crickets. They wouldn't even fill it out. And I was so mad because I'm like, I'm in a mastermind group with Alyssa Marie and Claire, rock star people that are having success with this, and I'm not. And so I went to Claire and I'm just like, why is this not working for me? Like, is it the people? I know that it's not always me, yada yada. And she was like, oh, I'm not having them fill out the influencer application. And she was like, that's for like technically, like she just gave me the mindset of that's for if you have a major blow up and they're coming in so fast and you have to like you have to weed people out. And she was like, if you have like 1 or 2 people coming in a day, go back to how we used to talk to them in the sense of voice messaging and treating them all individually. This is like common sense stuff. And I literally like listened to her and I just felt honestly like kind of silly that I had that disconnect, because I used to sign DTs so easy by being myself, by not using a script, by vibing off of their energy, getting to know them and doing it that way. And it was easy for me. But then you start to hear what other people do, and I don't think that that's wrong. I'm always looking left and right, not in a bad way. I feel success leaves clues, and I'm not embarrassed to be like, hey, Kay, I'm struggling. What's working for you? Like, I don't know if I'll ever change. Like, me being an ambassador doesn't mean I don't want to learn. I always want to look for tricks and stuff. So I'm always listening, but sometimes I think we step away from what we know works, and we don't just dabble in what other people are doing. Anyways, sorry, that was just a wake-up call for me. So I stopped using the influencer application. And if you're still using it, keep using it. It just stopped working for me in that sense. But I realized that there was a disconnect. I also feel like, Christine, that it might also be the people you're talking to. I love this promotion. I love when they do $50 kits. I'm so glad it's here, but I haven't signed a DT this week. And like I said, I'm back. Like, I'm going. Like, I'm not like sleeping on this month anymore. So I also do feel like sometimes it's just you don't have the right people in your path. I will also say that I've had these like little lessons in the sense, and I'm not saying it's you, Christine. I don't know where you're at in the sense of your business, but I've had times where I've missed out on promotions and missed out on signing people because my heart and head weren't really ready for the responsibilities of training new DTs, you know? And that's funny because you don't have to be in a hard place or in a dark place to not be able to sign them. Like, there are times where I have a lazy mindset and I don't think that I'm ready to give my all to a new distributor. And I believe, like, I'm not trying to like preach on this, but I do believe that God's not going to bless you with people if you're not ready to accept that gift, right? If you're not ready to put in that work. And so I don't say that that's you, Christine, but maybe that is part of it in the sense of like, are you ready? Because I think that we also work differently, and then the other people are placed in our path based on what we're ready for. Like, are you ready for a runner type of deal? So anyways, I just want to say you're not alone. I haven't signed one for $50 yet, but I'm not done yet, and you're not done yet. So I would just keep on messaging, and maybe you have to bump up your ratio. Maybe you're not talking to enough people, and maybe it's just the wrong people. Like I said, the first week of July, I think I was targeting the wrong people. And so our conversation, there was something missing. But then also I'll just end with maybe talk to Kaye or talk to a couple other people and compare conversations like I did with Claire. I was like, what are you saying when they get to this? Because this is what I'm saying. And her wording was perfect. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's so silly. What if I should have like spoke up sooner in that sense. So hopefully all of those little things all into one can help you. But the promotion's still going on, and I have faith that we'll at least get our one.
We'll all celebrate our numbers together. I love that so much. And I will just say that because Christine's on, she's like, thanks for the encouragement. Christine Knox right there. She's Ruby, and she's boxing herself in for diamond. And she's just, I don't know, I admire her so much, just her work ethic. And I think that sometimes someone like her, and this is what I was sharing with her, is that sometimes I think with people that have a solid work ethic, you expect that so quickly in return with your recruitment. And so you still have to kind of weed through to find the people that do mirror who you are. I mean, I'm 11 years in, Christine, and enrolled you. So, it doesn't always happen the day one, but you want it to happen fast. And so you've got to just get to that place where you feel really confident and just showing up and sending sometimes those messages. I see what she's sending and I'm proud of that. And I think it's on point. It's just like, all right, let's get the numbers higher. And right now, I think that because we're in the time that we're in, I think that those numbers have to be a little bit higher than normal. Whereas like Rachel was saying, it seemed so simple and easy before, but we have to work a little bit harder to get those numbers up right now and find those people who are like, I don't care what month it is, I'm in, I want to change my life. They see opportunity in the months ahead. So I think that it really just comes down to that.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Okay. So this was a question from one of our leaders on our team. So this is good. It's a series of 6 questions. So I think we should run through them quickly together. Some of them you've answered. So if we've already answered them, we'll go through. Process for onboarding new DTs.
Okay, I get them to, this is something that I think you guys have to know that while you're in this longer and longer, it is okay to switch it up. And I think sometimes we need that permission. That sounds so silly, but I needed the permission that like what worked in 2014 isn't necessarily going to work in 2020. So this is a process I continuously change because I go through seasons of signing people that learn different. So when I joined, someone sent me an email with everything and I followed it. That does not stick with a lot of people, but it worked for me, but I can't expect it to work for everyone else. So I have this, it's so simple right now and it's what's working. I add them to our team page and I just honestly have this 7-minute video. It's nothing crazy. I'm just like, hey, I'm Rachel. You're on our team page. We're excited. I pump them up a little. I tell them that I don't even think I explain what host to post is. I just explain that it's going to be the first step and that their enroller will explain, but message your enroller after this. That's basically all it is. It's from last summer, but we have like 800 tags in it. Why recreate it if it's still hyping people up? So people tag their team and that after they watch their video, they message their enroller right away. They message me and they're my girls and they're like, okay, I watched the video. What's next? That is when I give them the starter post. And it's honestly, I have had the same startup post since 2017. Nothing crazy, just none of us have taken the time to make a new one. They put the startup post on and then I explain through voice message what host to post is. And the reason I do is because I know that people learn so differently. I can't just give them a video. I just haven't found a really short, awesome video that works for everyone. So I just am the one that explains it. And I automatically, the same day they sign up, if they do all those things, sometimes people take a couple days to put their starter post up. Weird, I know. But once they put their starter post, I give them this little scripted message asking their Facebook friends list. Like I tell them to send it to 20 to 30 people on their friends list to ask them to host a post. And it's literally just like, hey, quick question, not asking you to buy anything, LOL, quick favor, can you put a post up? Something like that, simple. I can share it with Kaye after this. And honestly, new distributors get away with that. I wouldn't send that message anymore. I have to work a little harder for my host to post because I've been doing it for 2.5 years, but new distributors have never hosted a post before. They can easily ask a favor to their friends list and almost always get yes, 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 yes. So now they have host to post coming up and they're up on their feet and they're in these conversations. And then we're just walking through the conversations. I make sure it's very loud and clear in the beginning. You're going to feel like you're annoying, but you can't do this on your own. You have got to communicate with me and send me screenshot after screenshot. That's how you're going to learn. And honestly, throughout those 3 steps, tagging them in the video, starter post, message your friends list, people go at different paces. And sometimes they don't even make it to step 3. This is where I feel like as a leader, you guys just have to like go at their pace and realize that not everyone's the same. Don't put more into someone than they're willing to put into you. So I don't hound people down. I might message them a couple days later and be like, hey girl, I want to move forward and get these conversations rolling, but you haven't put your starter post up. Everything good? Like I'm pretty red when it comes to that just because we're moving fast paced and we can't like sit down with people, but that's my method. Team page, starter video, just a welcome video, starter post, message your friends list, and get those host posts running. I took out the step. I know a lot of leaders still do this, but we personally took out the step with messaging their family and friends right away, only because we had presented that to our newbies in the sense of, this is step 1. It's so easy. And we said how easy it was. They love you. It's your chicken noodle soup list. And then we went through a season where it was like every new distributor, they would message their family and friends and their family and friends would be horrible to them. So mean. And like, I can't believe you got into that. So mean, to where our new DTs would be like, you're telling me that step 1 is supposed to be the easiest and that they love me and they're going to support me and they won't even sign up. How am I going to be successful? So I like panicked and I'm like, we got to take that step out. And honestly, that just kind of comes for our team. What I found is like, once they get those conversations rolling in with strangers, they can tackle anything. And they usually typically message their family and friends on their own, or their family and friends see their posts and reach out to them. So that's just how we do it right now.
Okay. So for our team, Rachel, we created a team training site. It's 40 minutes. They can learn everything from start to finish on host to post and getting started. And so it mirrors. So what I want you guys to understand is this is mirroring, like Laura was just texting me, we're like, yes, this is why our training works, because everything Rachel's saying is literally what we do in our training. And so it's like, The only thing I think is missing out of this, you guys, is me getting on our team page and being like, welcome to the team. This is what you do. Go to our site and complete the training. And so that's the only thing other than the post that's already there. So it's like, I want you guys to see that like this is the same process as Rachel and her leadership are teaching host to post from the start, and not message your BFFs and your family to get started with you. So it's really about like bringing people into this space of how we do our giveaways and getting them to do host to post. Everybody and their mom wants the startup post, Rachel. So if you can put
I know, I'm looking for it.
that would be good.
It's honestly, you guys are gonna laugh though, because it's honestly just not that cool, but it's just kind of worked for the past 2 years and we just haven't recreated it, but I will definitely grab it. And I'll grab that message too. I actually really love that you guys do that. You have it all in one place.
I recorded it in one day and said, you know what? We need this. We need a place for this. So that's really, really
For
good.
sure. We talk about that too, about having everything in one space and the easiness of that. But I just probably should take the time to do it. Here it is. That's the starter post. And so I kind of make it like I put like blinks, like here's like what you can base it off of, but plug it in. Some people literally, it's almost word for word mine, but other people take it and run with it. So
That's
yeah.
it. I love. Thank you. Okay, so question 2, just talk a little bit about your schedule. I mean, you're a busy mom, you're a top leader, you've built your way to the top and building your way to the top again. So what does that look like?
Yeah, this is another thing, you guys. I think that this is such a common question, and this I treat the same as new distributors and how we train. I feel like you go through seasons in this where you have to switch up your schedule. And so honestly, I feel like I'm in that right now, like trying to figure out what's working, only because right now, one of the highest priorities for myself is building my relationship with God and my health, because I've neglected both of those through the busy season. So I have had to kind of base my work schedule around that, and my health being most important to me right now. I'm doing Orange Theory, and I do those at different times of the day. So it sucks. The thing that sucks with that is that like I'll do 10 a.m.s on Monday and Friday, and then 6:15 on Tuesday. Like it's a variety to where I can't really do the same thing every day. And I've had to kind of just teach myself to be okay with that, because I don't know if anyone's like me, but like sometimes I get in my head in the sense of if I don't have it strict every day, like I'm failing because you just hear what works for other people. And some of my best friends in the business, I'm like, man, you're disciplined 5 a.m. every day, but I'm just not enough time in my life right now where I can do the same exact thing at the same time. And that's okay. That's okay. So for me personally, my boys go to daycare right now. I know that's touchy. That's so touchy. But we love it. Things are a little bit lighter in Tennessee, not really that many cases. Anyways, our decision, we have them in a Christian daycare right now. So I have to get them there by 8:30. So based on my Orange Theory, if it's later on in the day, I will try to wake up. They wake up at 7:30. I try to wake up before them. It makes me less flustered in the morning. And I honestly would recommend you guys, I got this from Amanda Busher. Everyone's right now, you'll see there is a common theme. I don't know if you've noticed it, Kaye, or if you've bought it, but everyone's talking about 5 a.m. club. 5 a.m. club, 5 a.m. club. I have it on my bookshelf, but right now I'm doing, like I said, relationship goals. And I really want to be better at finishing one book before I jump to the other. But everyone's talking about 5 a.m. And that's something that sounds so great and I wish I could do. But I'm like, man, my kids wake up at 7:30. So I had automatically blocked that out in my head. Like, I can't wake up that early. And then I heard Amanda say, oh, the reason I do 5 a.m. is because my kids wake up at 6. And I was like, okay, that was the aha moment. She was like, it doesn't necessarily matter what time, just do an hour before your kids, which for me, I'm like, okay, cool. I can do 6:30. So I try to do an hour before my kids and to like dive into a book, dive into something that doesn't have to do with messaging. Because I'm the first to neglect the self-development part. And then I know that my kids, I think what's most important is what you do right when you wake up. But then also, like, if your kids are in school or they are at the babysitter or whatever, for the people that don't have their kids home, I know my kids get home at 4. So I have to be really disciplined in that time, because if I'm not, well, then shame on me, my business suffers, because something I'm not willing to negotiate is the time with my kids when they get home. Because I have, in the beginning of the year, they'd come home and I would be in my office or whatever. And right now I'm feeling a little bit guilty with being a parent. I want to be more present because things have slowed down, and that's okay. And we can have it all. I need to remind myself that. So I know my kids get home around 4:30. In that next hour, it would be selfish of me to like, they're hyped, they're ready to see us, and for me to pawn them off to something else, like when I've had all day to myself. So that keeps me grounded throughout the day, because I know that. And then I honestly have switched up my schedule very recently, because I was doing Zooms like every night, and I love Zooms. They keep my team together, but I was getting tired. I was being neglectful. I wasn't going to bed at the same time as my husband. And I started to get like kind of yucky with it. Like, I don't want to neglect all of that stuff. So we switched it up with my leadership to where Sunday nights we do Zooms and Wednesday nights we do Zooms. And then Monday, your mom's call, obviously, I'm on those every single Monday. But what's nice about that is I can be on those next to my husband. I don't have to be in my office to be on those, rather than, with your Zooms. So switching up my Zoom schedule to have Tuesdays and Thursdays off, and then my Sabbath on Saturday, has made me work so much harder on the other days. So that's kind of my schedule. I know that's kind of all over the place, but hopefully it kind of gives you guys the sense of like, you don't really have to have it perfect. You don't really have to be this like strict person with everything. You just have to figure out what works for you. And lately I've been just reminded that less can be more, with the intention. And so I just keep hearing the word intention. And I think I had a lack of, because things were so fast paced. So that's just how it is for me. And I just go off my day. And I also just remind myself that if it is a poopy day, like I'll be honest and say Monday was a day where Zach and I just honestly, it was a lot of tears. It was a lot of revolutions, in the sense of like, I want more and I want different for the last half. Like, we were just talking about growth and growing together and like just sacrificing, just different things that we haven't had time to talk about the first half of the year. So Monday was like a wash for me. I didn't really get a lot of host posts up. I didn't do a lot, but I wasn't down on myself. It's something that I need to do for my own mental health. And then I got back up on Tuesday. So I would just give you the advice of figure out what works for you. And if you drop the ball and it's a day that was unproductive, that's okay. Just don't have two in a row, right? So hopefully that's helpful.
Very helpful. I was laughing at Alyssa's, because she's in town right now. She's in Sarasota, and she was in the bathroom of her hotel room this morning with her book, The 5 a.m. Club, sitting on the floor. I will say that's changed my life, getting up early. I was up at 5 a.m., but because my kids are still really, really young and they get up really early. So, and I go to Pure Barre now at 6 a.m. and that's like changed my life. And so when you said Orange Theory, I think it's important that we find something that we like, that we can be consistent with, in a way where it's like Rachel said, we don't have to go every single day. We don't have to go at the same time, but it's like something that we enjoy and look forward to. Where I like it. I like Pure Barre because my phone's not in the room. I don't have an Apple Watch on telling me what's, I don't have anything in my space. It's just me and my body in the room for an hour, and it's high energy and I love it. So I think if we don't take care of ourselves, we cannot give back. But one thing, Rachel, that I love that you said as a leader in this business is prioritizing your time around what really works for you. And when Rachel was chatting with me, she's like, I love that you do your team Zooms during the day. And I'm like, I do them during the day because this is when I'm most awake. At night, I'm like a zombie, and I can't give you guys my best version of myself. And you know that I go to bed early and I like to wake up early. And so honor that as yourself as a leader, but find ways to layer that leadership within your organization. Even if you're a new leader, who's on your team that you see as a rising star that can step up and help you with some of the things that are going to help fuel the fire in your team. Maybe they're a night owl and can host a power hour or something, whereas you might not be. And that's why I don't host them. Because at night I'm like dead to the water. I'm just not myself. And so I know that. And so honor that as yourself. You're going to be a better business owner long-term if you honor your strengths and then outsource your weaknesses. Always, unless you say, I'm just going to get better at this because I want to, that's different. So I wanted to share that. Do you have team chats for specific legs, or how do you organize your team?
No, this is actually something we just shifted to. We have, I have a team page, and then I had a diamond and above chat where, and this might be frowned upon, I don't know, but leadership has always been like my favorite thing in the world. And I just feel like sometimes I feel like it's just important to start at the top and then they trickle it down. So I had a diamond chat, and then I had a 2.0 chat, and then we would randomly we don't do them every month, but we'll randomly do like push group or like for people that just need extra attention or whatever. But chats for me, maybe because I don't have a good method for it, they just don't work for me. And I would love to figure that out, but I feel like I just have enough duplication to where I have a diamond page now instead of a chat because the chat got unproductive. So just a little tip, if you are doing something and then it just stops working, you guys definitely have the ability to shut it down. And that was a hard decision because I had this diamond chat with 40 people in it. And then it just became talking about my dog and talking about my kid. And I'm just like, this is just not serving anyone. So I shut that down, got a diamond page. And then lately, this is so weird, but lately my focus has been on my triples because that's just, I don't know, struggling. They're struggling with some life stuff right now. And I'm feeling like I'm needing a mentor and all the things. And I'm okay with that. So I just have a group chat with my triples and then we do diamond time, random little coffee chats, but chats just, I don't know. I've never found a really good routine for that. So we kind of switch it up as we go on, but I really just make sure I'm really taking care of my leaders. And then I trust them. We have such an open relationship to where if they need something and they need me for a private Zoom for their team, they always, always, always speak up, but I'm not really in their chats and stuff. Actually, sorry, I am in my 2.0s. I encourage my 2.0 diamonds and leaders to stem off because they wouldn't have done it if I didn't tell them. And I am in theirs, but I have them silenced. But I'm not really in charge of any chat except for my triple chat right now with this season.
Beautiful. What is your method for communicating with your team? Is it through leaders only or one-to-one or trainings?
Really don't like one-to-ones right now. I need to pray about that because I'm sure people would thrive off of that. But right now it's with my leaders and honestly our team Zooms. Sundays are our favorite day of the week because Sundays are what you do before the family call. So I've been trying to teach my team the Sabbath on Saturday. So usually we come to Sunday and Sunday, like we're ready to go. So we have a whole team Zoom on Sundays at 8 Central. And then we usually play Mark's call on that. So we're all connected for the week. But that's usually how we communicate. I also am trying to be like as present as I can on my team page. And anytime, like this is something new for me, which isn't really that new, but anytime I'm feeling something, especially because I've been diving into self-development more than ever this month, when I'm learning something, I'm freshly going to my team page and I'm going live on that for whoever's willing to hear, right? So that's something too that's been different for me. Instead of keeping it in, whenever I'm feeling something, whether I messed up or it was an epiphany or this is really working well, I'm loud and proud on my team page and hoping that my leaders follow suit by watching me do that.
Love, love, love. Okay, that was so good. What I like to do is I like to do one-to-one Zooms with my new recruits after they've completed the training. So it's like I can then go, hey, you've done the training. Now we can chat one-to-one and I can help you through the things that, so I'm not sitting there and doing the same training over and over again, which is I think why we get exhausted as leaders or just as enrollers is because you're regurgitating the same information. But if they can complete that, get started on host to post and kind of start working through some of those first messages, then that first one-to-one Zoom I find is way more powerful and a lot more is accomplished. So that's the only time that I really like to do one-to-one. And then again, when somebody's like, okay, I'm about to promote, like I have some questions, then the whole team can get on and we can all collaborate and help each other out. So I think that those are the times that it's like, yeah, they've earned their time. Yes, I love that.
So good.
What's your best LC method of enrolling? Because you are a top, typically, you've had a good month, but you have had a great year, Rachel. What has been your tip?
Host to post. But honestly, your mom pours into us once a month, our little mastermind group, and she's really helped us the past two times she's gotten on just talking about it. And I'm not going to bash people that do mass enroll because I do, but I have been, honestly, that's part of my learning process. Like, do I really want to put all my time into signing 100 customers? Because at this point, I'm a little exhausted. Your mom worded it so perfect. She was like, do we really want to play customer service? And I'm like, wow, you couldn't have worded it better. Like if I put a little bit more intention into signing DTs to where I don't anyway, sorry, I'm just learning all these things, but that's something I keep hearing her say. But loyal customers, I host a post. And this is something I've just been, I don't want to use the word lucky. It feels like I've been lucky in the sense of just having ones that work. I don't know, like TFX worked so well the first like 4 months, and then it stopped out of nowhere for us. And then like quickly we figured out coffee worked, and then figured out hair, skin, and nails worked. I think the movements really, really, really helped because like I said, I'm always listening for like just one little tweak, one little tweak. So right now, coffee and hair, skin, and nails are everything to us, which is bizarre because I'm saying for the past 2.5 months, we've only targeted TFX and haven't had to target anything else. We've upsold and stuff, but lately the hair, skin, and nail picture, that little cutie with the length, works really well. And then the coffee with just a pretty picture of coffee and the typical pick your flavor, whatever. I can share those too. I think everyone uses the same coffee one, has been working really, really, really well. But also knowing your network. I go through phases where I'll like tap into a really like young crowd, which I wouldn't probably do coffee for young people. Like hair, skin, and nail works really young, or works really well. And then I'll tap into an older crowd where I can get them all to buy coffee. I kind of I'm aware of that. And I think that's why I continue to thrive, is because I'm kind of just evolving that and always doing the homework that comes with host to post to make sure my host posts are always working. But the split of a second when something feels like it's off and it's slowed down, I'm just tweaking it a little to just try to like reinvent the wheel to figure out what works, because I know host to post works. It's just our network can make it slow down. And I think the issue and the disconnect with the field and why some people still are like, I don't like host to post, it's because they've given up when things have slowed down, when in reality it's not the method, you just have to switch it up. And I don't think we talk about that enough. So that's why I've been a mass enroller, but I will say I'm trying to switch my focus because I'm pretty tired. I'm tired of like not enrolling that many DTs and a lot of LCs. I'm learning. So trying to switch it up.
I love the honesty here. Like I think that this is, if anything, you guys just hearing Rachel go, hey, I switch it up. Hey, I adjust, I adapt to the times, is what everybody needs to know. No matter where you are in this business, we all needed to hear this today. And how do you team newbies get DT? How do your newbies get DTs? I think it's just worded weird. Sorry. I'm like, okay, what is she trying to say? How do your newbies get DTs?
We did just start again the conference calls. Weird, right? I don't know if you guys still do those, but like I used to do calls every week, just 20 minutes, just Getting Over Your Damn Self. Is that the book? Getting Over Your Damn Self. That book shook me to the core. You guys should read it if you didn't. But I took things from that book for a long time, and part of it was the 3-way call type of deal. So anyways, we started doing that again. I think a week and a half ago, I did one. It was great. There was like 40 people on. I don't know how many potentials. I think we signed 2 DTs from it, but that was good for us, coming from like not really enrolling DTs because we're pretty customer focused, to doing that. So we want to start doing them more frequently. And then tomorrow we're going to see how it goes, but kind of taking the pre-sell Zoom up a notch and doing half like opportunity and sharing our stories, and then the other half, let's actually pre-sell while we're on, by just having them throw that post up, who on my Facebook loves coffee, and then giving them a message to do the likes and the comments. We're going to really play with that tomorrow. We've done that before and signed a bunch of DTs by just literally covering the concept on Zoom of pre-selling and then telling them. But now we want to make it a little bit more intimate, and share a little bit about ourselves, and having like a bunch of different people. Like we have like military, college, like we're planning on making it really big. And 30 minutes before that, we're doing a work Zoom, in the sense of we're literally going to target getting people on this call at 8 o'clock. So I'm hoping that tomorrow is really awesome, to where we could do that every week. And then I feel like that's the answer to getting people, getting new distributors to signing it. We also do newbie power 30s every Wednesday. We were doing it twice a week. DT enrollments were down, and we were figuring we were wasting our time. So now we're doing once a week, Wednesday nights, 9 to 9:30. We make sure we don't go over that time, because we think we can get people to focus for 30 minutes. At least for 30 minutes, they can focus. They don't have to be on their phone. They're paying attention. And it's only for newbies. So we do have other people get on, but we're literally only targeting newbies. And we do 3 leaders, 10 minutes each. And so like I just got over conversating with the girls that are doing it with me tonight. And I'm like, what do we feel this week they need to hear? And we have 3 different things that we're talking about. And it's the same every week with different leaders, different topics. So that's been great too, because we'll cover posting, messaging for DTs, whatever we feel, and it helps them get through the next week. But I really hope tomorrow's event is something we can duplicate every week, because I do hear a lot of leaders are having success with that. And that should help people continuously get people on those calls they have to message.
And it's a call or a Zoom?
Zoom, sorry. But we did a call too. We're trying to figure out if Zoom is better or calls, playing with it.
You know, I'm going to get the text from my mom, but we were sitting on the beach. Laura was with us, and she got a text from one of her reps at Louis Vuitton, the local store here. And she said, Pam, it's Dominique. We're launching a brand new line, and we would love for you to be a part of our trunk show that we're doing on Zoom. Would you like an invitation? And so mom's reading this out loud to us, and it's Alyssa and Laura and I, and we're like, that is no different than everything that we do on a daily basis. Why would we think we're any different than Louis Vuitton, or Louis Vuitton's any different than us? And it was literally inviting so beautifully, so classy, making her feel very VIP to the Zoom. She goes, well, look at that. Like, I'm definitely getting on that. And I loved it. And so we tried as a team. I really had this big vision for this happening. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to have this like Thursday nights webinar. I'm going to do this series. Like, Laura's laughing. Like everybody's going to get on. They're going to invite their prospects. It's going to be like off the charts. Like, here we go. I'm going to do the Zoom, like invite different leaders on from our team. It's going to be amazing. It was like a floppity flop.
Oh.
Like, I remember one time I was like, I'm talking to myself. It's fun. And I hated it. I was so annoyed. I was like, this didn't work. So I would love for it to work, because that's what I know as a leader and as a networker and as a daughter of a networker. Like, it works if you can get people on, if your team will participate, but the leadership has to really rally around it and see value in it, and everyone has to participate. So like, keep me posted, because I'd love to bring that back. I kind of just went, we have a potentials page and add your prospects here, because I'm like, okay, like no one's showing up. I'd love to hear your tips on really making that successful.
For sure. Yeah. And I hope it is as good. Like, we have done 2 pre-sale Zooms. We didn't talk, I shared my story, but we didn't make it like an opportunity event, but we did 2. In the first one, we had 200 people on. Mind you, I'm sure a bunch were my team, but it was almost way too much, like way too overwhelming. I had 2 prior to it. I had 2 of my leaders in a separate chat, and I'm like, you guys are the only ones that are going to answer questions in the chat. I will talk. Like, we were so set, but it was so stinking crazy. It was almost like too many potentials on, and they were blowing up the chat in a bad way, in the sense of like, you're going too fast, slow down. Like, it was like almost everyone was too hungry. And it ended up being too many cooks in the kitchen, because the leaders that weren't a part of it were answering questions, and it was just massive. But we signed a bunch of people, but it almost was like, didn't make me want to do it again, because I'm like, that literally made me want to pull my hair out, but it kind of worked. The second one was smaller. We still signed some people, but the vibe wasn't the same. And I do believe exactly what you said. I think that's the missing piece, is everybody has to be a part of it. And so we'll literally, like, tomorrow I'll probably like make up this post, and I'll say, I'll be honest in it, in the sense of like, you guys have to do the homework. I know, and it sounds cocky, but like, I literally will tell them, I know I can seal the deal if you get your people on, but the issue is you're not getting your people on. So I'm going to do my part and kill it when we're on, but you have to do your part in at least getting 10 people on. Here's a message you can send to the people you've already communicated with. Here's the people you can send as a cold message, in the sense of whatever. So I just feel like if you do make it really stern, but then also like, I ride my leaders pretty hard, only because they love our community and they love all of it. But sometimes I'm like, it's not just my job. So you guys got to help out too. And you have to rally it up, because at the end of the day, I can't be heard by everybody. Sometimes people aren't going to see it and whatnot. So I do think that for sure is. So I'm curious, because everyone seems to be on board, how it'll go. But we did do it once, and we signed a bunch of people, but it was not very fun. Not fun at all.
Yeah. And I think the more lighthearted it is, and more like, hey, this is how we build, and we're in our living rooms, or we're here, here in our PJs, or just like the more lighthearted it is and the more fun it is, I think more people will say, I'm in. And it's got to be like that from the get-go. I have one last quick question. I want to ask it really fast. After you've been in the business for a bit, how do you start conversations regarding product? And you mentioned this. You said, I have to do things a little differently now that I've been in the business a little bit longer. I have to be more creative
Yes.
in conversations regarding product when messaging new or existing connections on Facebook.
Yes. So I'm still really relying on host to post, but I don't know why it's like this, but I feel like I'm annoying when I message my friends list, hey, favor to ask. I don't know, maybe because I did it so much in the beginning of host to post. So I just have to be creative in the sense of like, just switching up my script and switching up the actual host to post. Like actually, Kay, it's so funny. I had a coffee chat with my triples yesterday, and we're actually going to do your method of host post in the sense of separating it from the team page. Like that's something I learned from you, like just your organization in that sense and the way you did that. But just knowing that when things aren't working, to switch it up. Like we just went from a cash giveaway to an item. You would be surprised at how much that completely shifted our focus. Like everybody wants this Yeti cooler, but I was against the Yeti cooler because I'm like, I don't care about Yeti coolers. But it's crazy. Like I did a giveaway for cash, like $500 cash last week, crickets on my giveaway post. I did a Yeti cooler and $500 cash, 200 plus comments. Absolutely insane. So anyways, I switched up little things like I've been messaging people. What's been getting a bunch of people to host posts for me this week is I switched up the wording in the sense of, hey, like when people show interest in wanting to participate, I'm like, hey, the missing, like something like along the lines of the missing piece for people is that they're not putting the post up. Like people think we trick them into thinking that they have to comment and they're entered and then we message them. Well, what's been helping me is saying, hey, you have to make sure that you fully put this post up to be entered. This is where a lot of people aren't confirming their entry. I like slid that in there and it was like this trigger of people being like, oh my gosh, okay, what's the post? Whereas before I would just message them and be like, saw your comment. All you have to do is put this post up and you're good. And I don't know, just flipping that up. And then also just being honest in the sense of like, I have 5,000 friends and there are only 200 people entered. You do that too, Kay, you do that so well. But it's like, sometimes you have to say those things. I don't know, it's just weird. So little things like that. And then also just knowing like, I can't get away with just doing before and afters all the time on my page. I can't get away with just being like, just posting like a picture of the products. Like I have to show myself. I have people that have followed me for me now. And just, I don't know if that makes sense. So like there are just, as you're in it longer and longer, I don't want to say it's harder, but you just have to be more genuine, less scripty, which I know sounds so bad, but new distributors can get away with those things in the beginning and we just can't. So that's just kind of what I mean by that.
I love I'll send you some scripts and stuff that's been working for me lately after this. So we can share because I'm like, oh, I've got a couple that are perfect for you right now in the season you're in because I had to work through a lot of that too. And I would say the only thing that I would add to that is when I go through slumps, and Rachel, I know you'll agree with me on this. When I feel like I'm not reaching enough people or having enough comments on my post, it's because I've gotten so dang lazy with
Yes.
my engagement. I'm not engaging. I'm not taking that time. And my friend Ashley is a social expert and she's like, listen, lady, before you make a post or before you put up a series of stories, you need to go engage with people's stories. You need to take 15 minutes of your time. It's not like it takes 2 hours to just go send some messages, go comment on some posts, go give other people some love. And then they're going to see your posts. And it was something recently, Rachel, that I posted and I had like friends that had commented on it that hadn't seen my stuff since like 1980, I could tell. And they commented on it. And then all of a sudden I was seeing their post because they commented online. And I'm like, dude, it's proof in the pudding. Like you have to comment on people's stuff in order for them to see yours, especially if they're a prospect you want on your team or you want as a customer or they have a huge network. And so before you put up the giveaway post, before you put up your lifestyle post, your opportunity, your products, take 15 minutes of your time. It's going to pay you off anyway, by doing this to engage with your prospects and the people that you really want to do business with. And then boom, there's your post. It's like going to blow up because you're doing the work.
Yeah. So, so good. And
So
that's true. And I think with the mindset of being lazy, like I just had this hard talk on Sunday. I was like, listen, guys, too many people like are literally just slapping it up, like slapping up the, like with a colored background every day, posting about the giveaway. And I'm looking at their posts and I'm like, you are getting nothing on there because you're just literally thinking that you're doing what you're supposed to by just posting. And we forget sometimes that less is more. And that sometimes it's like I always talk to my leaders. I'm like, if you see a really good post that I do, just because you take it and post at the same time, it doesn't mean that it's going to blow up. Like sometimes there have been so many times that I see like a different ambassador do one of those posts, like if you could drink two, like one of like the product posts that are like engaging, and I'm like 30 comments, and then I'll post it and it'll get nothing. So like I have to save it and do the homework, but we don't talk about the middle piece sometimes. And so then they're like, well, Kay got 100 comments, I got one. Why? And we forget everything that goes into it. So sometimes you just got to save them and wait. I'm just so glad you said that, because it does come down to being lazy. And sometimes we just don't realize that.
well, and the last thing I'll say on this, if it's 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you're not going to get as much engagement. It's 2 o'clock. I find that like 9 a.m., noon, 5, between 8 and 9, I'm going to get the best engagement at those times. If it's 2 o'clock and you're like, I like this post, great, save it for 5 o'clock. Like, especially if it's opportunity, because that's when people are thinking opportunity, not typically 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Statistically speaking, those are not the best times to make a post on social. So you might as well engage at that time, plan your stories for the evening, like do something else that's worth your time. Hop on our team Zoom at 2 o'clock, because it's not the best time to be on social media. There's a reason for this. So anyway, so good. All right, Rachel, thank you so much. I'm not going to like steal any more of your time. I know it's valuable. So thank you. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Have a great afternoon.